Hello everyone. We're going to install Ubuntu from a thumb drive. And you see this is a PNY 32 gig drive. And in our previous video, we showed how to build that drive using Rufus. So let me get this plugged in. We'll turn on the computer. This is a Lenovo. You can see it's a T470. And I'll go ahead and hit F12. And it'll go into the boot menu. You see it says entering boot menu. Now what we'll choose, you can see is a PNY thumb drive. So I'm going to choose that and we'll go ahead and boot from that drive. And you can see it's a little hard to focus. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus up here for us. Takes it just a second to make up its mind. It's on autofocus. Come on. Come on. There we go. So the first choice here, there we go, is try or install Ubuntu Safe Graphics Mode, which you may have to use if the graphics card or graphics processor is not a very common one. We're going to go ahead and use the first choice. And so it comes up right away with the Ubuntu logo. And this is Ubuntu24.04. So we'll give this a minute to load up. Again, sorry about the bright glare, but it'll be okay once it gets going. But this is a way, the reason we're doing this, we've talked about this before, is that in October, Microsoft's not going to support Windows 10 anymore, so no more security updates. And if you have an old computer that doesn't have the TPM2 circuitry in it, then you can't load Windows 11. So you'll see out on several sites, they have people suggesting that you can use Rufus to create a boot thumb drive to run Windows 11 without the TPM chip or circuitry. The challenge with that is when you get going and have to patch your computer, what you'll find out is that they'll have a patch that comes out that forces you to have to reinitiate the hack. And you don't want to have to do that, especially if you're relying on the computer for homework or for work. And it's been pretty impressive to see what Ubuntu has done to make their desktop operating system a lot more mainstream. And what I discovered with this is Ubuntu, because this is the second or third time I've installed on this computer. It even goes out and finds Lenovo firmware and installs it. So there's a few advantages here. Also, what you'll see as we install is Ubuntu will let you install the Pro version on up to 5 computers at no charge. So we're going to go ahead and choose English. Hopefully that stays in focus, but it's pretty easy to see what I'm choosing here. There we go. And then this lets you choose accessibility options. And I'm going to do my keyboard layout as English. They support several languages. And I'm going to choose the option down here that says do not connect to the internet. So I'm going to do an install assuming no internet connection. And this is installing Ubuntu alongside of instead of your current version. And then this one, it says you can try Ubuntu without an install. So I'm going to go ahead and install. I'm going to see if it'll let me wipe out the other install I had here. Interactive for users that want to be guided through. The second choice here is if you were doing this to support small businesses, you can create what's called a YAML file with settings already done, and you can tell it to look at your YAML file, and then it will configure the installation just the way you want it every time. Makes it faster. For us, we're going to do interactive install. And then we want to do the extended selection. This will install an offline friendly selection of office tools like LibreOffice and a web browser. So we'll choose that. We're not going to install third-party software at this point because we're not connected to the internet. And I'm not going to do it alongside the install. I'm going to erase the disk, start from scratch. So I'll choose next. I'll go ahead and put in my name. And what's nice is it creates a machine name that really is pretty good, I think. And I like that for my username, M. Wagner. I'm going to put in my password. I'll confirm. Here we go. I'll press next. And then a time zone. I'm going to just click over and start to choose. Oh, I got it right the first time. Denver, America. You'll be choosing somewhere over here. But what I'll do is choose Denver, America. That sets your time zone. And then I'll go ahead and click install. So Ubuntu actually is really, also, I mentioned an article earlier with alternatives on what to do as the support for Windows 10 stops in October. This was one of the suggestions, is to install Linux. I did take a look at Mint Linux, which can be based on Ubuntu or on Debian Linux. And I chose Ubuntu because it was much easier to download and it's well supported. When I was trying to get Mint, they were sending me to so many different download sites, and almost all of them were really backed up, very slow. And Ubuntu had a good download speed, and you need something that is reliable, that it will keep downloading, because it'll probably take you 3 to 8 hours to download and build this Ubuntu bootable thumb drive. So once you have this built, then I would probably clone the thumb drive and let other people use it if they're interested in doing this. Now, what's also interesting is Ubuntu also supports Microsoft Visual Code for writing code, and I'm doing this primarily for our students who are studying technology. This is a viable option, I think, to use, and I think it's better to have an updated version of Ubuntu, especially with the Pro option they're giving us. It will update its security profile, and LibreOffice, which is compatible with Word and Excel files and their advanced formats. It recognizes those formats and maintains them. So I really think this is a viable alternative. And after I build this machine, this is an older Lenovo laptop with a i5 processor and 8 gigs of RAM. So fairly old machine. If I was running Windows 11 on it or 10, it would have a hard time keeping up in today's world, where you're doing a lot of code work, maybe compiling or other graphics works. Now, where you're going to have a challenge is, you'll notice in the Linux world, there are lots of applications, but they're built for specific flavors, I call them, of Linux. And so you might see a graphics program, but it's compiled for SUSE Linux or Debian Linux, and it won't just install on Ubuntu. So the downside is you do have to get applications that are compiled for Ubuntu Linux, and that limits your choices. So this is a great core machine to run, to do spreadsheets, word processing, work in your learning management system. For the technology folks, all the software development tools you would need are available on Linux, and especially Ubuntu. So I do think this is going to be a really viable option. And I'm going to take this around with me on campus and work with it for a few weeks, and I'll report back to you and let you know how I'm liking it. But I'm going to do all my work on it. And I'll use the web versions of Microsoft Outlook. Uh, and the web versions of all the Microsoft tools actually work well. There's very few feature limitations with the current versions of their web products. So I'll let you know how this goes. I'm optimistic and hope that it works well. The other thing I'll be focused on is what the security recommendations are. You have the security recommendations, or the patches, I should say, that come out from Ubuntu, but I'm also going to look at things like what's the one that we used last time that I use all the time? Threat Down is what the commercial version is called. Um, It'll come to me in a minute. Sorry, it's the end of my day. I'm kind of tired. Malwarebytes. That's what I was trying to remember. So I'm going to look for some of the programs out there. We did find Threat Down. So we're running Ubuntu server out in a commercial environment, and we did find for 2404, we found Threat Down, which is Malwarebytes commercial version. We run that, we let it update, and so far it's been okay. It's not something that we like to do in a commercial environment because it's all Microsoft uh, in this commercial environment. And so when you mix in one Linux server, then you have to have a completely different set of checklists to maintain that Linux server. It has different threat profiles. It just is unnecessary, especially when the Windows servers will do everything you need. So I like to manage environments that are make a choice and they go one way or the other, unless you have some specific need where you have to mix the environments. It just makes it more consistent to manage, and it lowers your labor costs to manage the environment. So we'll let this go. I think the install on this, if I remember right, I think we'll be done here in just a minute. And it's pretty impressive. Yeah, there it is. So it is installed, ready to use. I'm going to go ahead and restart. And remember, this machine is probably 6 years old, 7 years old. I'll remove the thumb drive and then press enter. So now we'll go ahead and boot up. And remember, this installed the operating system and Microsoft or LibreOffice with a presentation tool, word processor, spreadsheet. Oh, by the way, I turned on all the detailed BIOS boot up option just so you can see what's going on with the computer. I usually do that on older machines. So if they do have an error, they'll show it to me, right when they're booting up. So this is a first time boot. Taking just a minute. As you realize, this is checking out all of the drivers, making sure, for the keyboard, the screen, the storage, everything. So it's been kind of interesting to run this. I've also installed this, and I'm running it on as a remote server for testing on one of these little Intel NUCs, that we've played with before. And so this is a little Ubuntu server that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter on my username, put in my password. So here we are. And here's our desktop. Welcome to Ubuntu. We can look at release notes. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Enable Pro. So I am going to go ahead and enable Pro, if it'll let me here. For some, I bet it won't let me because I'm not connected to the internet yet. That's correct. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that for now. I'll go ahead and let it send data. You guys probably won't want to do that. I won't open the App Center. That's like the App Store because we're not connected to the internet yet. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, that's my trash can. Let's go ahead and click on our icon down here in the lower left, kind of like with Windows. I'm going to go into Settings. Now I'm going to go ahead, it defaults to Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is Blue Wing. So I'll click on that. Let me get my password in. I hope I can remember it. And there we go. We're connected. There we go. It says connected right here. Really has a nice nice interface. Let's go back into our settings. What I'd like to see, we have displays. Let's see what it says on displays. It's picked the right resolution. I am 60 hertz landscape. That's great. Sound, power. You can tell it what to do. You can have balanced or power saving. You can dim the screen. Oh, I kind of like that. It dims it. But I'm going to set that up to 15 minutes. So you have a lot of the same options that you have with Microsoft. I'm going to go ahead and choose a pretty mountain. That almost looks like Mount Kilimanjaro. Let's go down to the bottom. Let's go to System at the bottom here. And here we are. Oh, here's software updates. Let's go ahead and check for software updates. So now it'll check. And you can see in the upper right corner that I'm connected to Blue Wing right here. Oh, and it has the Bluetooth drivers. That's pretty great. Like I said, so far, I really am hoping this works out well. So I'll be running this, like I said, for the next few weeks. So software update has been issued. Since it was released, do I want to install it? Oh, and you can click on the details of the update. Oh, these are, I like this. They include the LibreOffice updates. So let's go ahead and install those. And it wants my password. That's good. And then I can turn on the details to see what it's downloading and installing. I've got to tell you, the user interface is quite good. I think this is going to be a good option for some people. If you're less technical, not comfortable with computers, I would probably have one of your friends who's more technical and comfortable do this on a spare computer. I probably wouldn't do this on the computer you rely on for school just yet, unless you have no computer. If you're down to having no computer and using only your phone, I would definitely do this, because it gives you a fully functioning computer and a very common computer to use for software development, web development. And this update is moving along. We're almost at halfway. I do have a good connection, but everyone else is home right now using the connection. So we'll just let this keep going. I may edit a piece out of the middle of this, but I think I'll let it go. You can see how long it takes. Again, these updates, you may want to go in and look at the details of an update and choose what you update and when. If you can go to a internet cafe where they charge you based on time and they have a good fast connection, you could do it there. You could also check to see if you can do it at a family history center or at one of our churches where they have an all-you-can-eat internet connection, meaning they're charged per month no matter how much is downloaded. You'd hate to go to a church and use up all of their data so that on Sunday when they're trying to do work, they can't. This is something I like about Linux is they're not afraid to show you the details. So it downloaded everything, and now it looks like it's doing the install. And you'll notice in lots of videos, Linux and Unix use command line quite a bit. So you'll go out and you'll see command line instructions that you will get to go out and check for an update and install it. And it's really easy. You type it in the terminal window, and then it'll just go off and it'll look like this. You can see where it says setting up. You know, it's setting up and configuring all these updates. So our time hopefully is not going to exceed. I think I only have a 30-minute limit with this. I'm using Snagit. It's a very low cost capture tool. And I'm just using a webcam with the microphone on the webcam. I'm trying to simplify how I do these videos so that if you were ever to do videos, you can realize that you can do it and not have to have a lot of fancy equipment. And a lot of these updates that are being installed um, are security updates. And it's telling you too which applications up here are being updated at the time. You'll also notice here it comes with Firefox as a browser. And this is the Firefox email client called Thunderbird. Here is LibreWord. I don't know what this one is with the A. We'll have to look at that. Here's your settings. That looks like a speaker, so it's probably sound. I noticed it comes with Spotify. But I will play with this and make this my primary machine and report back to you. And I'm an old computer geek, so I remember in the day when I was running Solaris Unix and also the FreeBSD, Berkeley Standard Distribution Unix on Intel hardware like this. So let's go ahead and restart this, see how long this takes. So far, realize this is an i5, not an i7, and it's not even all the new fancy ARM processors that are touted as being extremely fast, and they are. But this operating system, Linux, has a smaller operating system kernel, not as small as Unix, but they refer to it as a microkernel operating system. And what it means is the core operating system is small, and all of the other programs that run to do what you're doing on a computer are separate executable programs that are only called in and run when needed by the operating system. Whereas Microsoft will compile and put a lot of functionality inside the kernel. That's a pretty fast reboot for operating system and Office update. So there we are. And it's got the mountain. And we are all set up. Let's go to a browser. I kind of like Firefox. Let's see how that does. Here we are. I don't have anything to import. So I'll skip this step. So here we are. This lets you customize things, and I'll just skip these things. I'm really not. I can start browsing. And here we go. So let's go to YouTube. So here we are in YouTube. I'll have to load up all my tools that I use. I use a password manager and lots of other things. Let's open up the word processor, LibreOffice, and here it is. So we're running the new version 24.2. and you can look at the release notes to see what's new there. But there's our word processor. And it looks like I've multiple desktops here. Look at that. Oh, and I'm doing finger swiping across the pad to get to the different desktops. And I can also search for Libre, for example. And here's all the Libre products. I can hop into the spreadsheet, and here it is. Actually quite fast. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'm going to click here, and I will just type in power. Here's my power off. I'll go ahead and power it off. And that's our video. Thank you for watching, and we will stay in touch.